Something happened to me. Something I never planned for. Something that changed everything. And for a long time, I could not speak about it. My name is Kelly. I am 20 years old. I live under the wide, bright skies of Austin, Texas. When people see me walking down the street, they probably think my life is simple, maybe even peaceful, maybe even good. But beneath that quiet surface, there is a story I once tried to bury deep inside myself. It is a story about one choice, one moment of trust placed in the wrong person, one decision that changed the direction of my entire life. My mother was a wise woman. She did not talk much, but when she did, she meant every word. "Kelly," she used to say, her eyes steady and calm, "be careful with your heart. Do not give your trust too fast. Some mistakes in this world do not fade away. They stay inside your bones. They stay with you forever." But I was young. I was full of hope. I looked at the world with kind eyes. I believed that everyone else had the same kind heart that I had. I had no idea at all, that one small mistake could shatter the world of a young woman completely. Our story begins at my family home. We had a helper who worked for us. His name was Richard. He was 23 years old, he was tall, he was handsome, and he was always quiet. There was something about him that was hard to explain, something heavy and distant, like he was carrying a secret no one could see. Every time I passed him in the hallway, I noticed his eyes. They held a deep sadness, an ancient kind of sadness, as if he had lived 1,000 difficult lives before this one. That mystery pulled me in. I felt safe around him. I trusted him. I should not have. The shift began on an ordinary Tuesday. I came home from college. My mind was still full of the day's lessons. I went to my room to change my clothes, but in my hurry, I did not close the door properly. When I turned around, the air in the room felt different, heavy, still. Richard was standing in the doorway. He was watching me. I froze. Heat rushed to my face, a mixture of shame and sudden fear. But I did not scream. I did not tell him to leave. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was confusion. Maybe it was that fog that comes when you are young and you do not yet know how to recognize danger until it is already too close. He did not look away. He let out a soft laugh. He gave me a smile, but the smile did not reach his sad eyes. He acted as if nothing strange had happened, but in that moment, something inside me shifted. My sense of direction was gone. My instincts were blurred, and a desperate need for attention filled the space where my good judgment had been. In the weeks that followed, a secret world grew between us. We began to talk in the quiet hours, when the house was still, when no one else was near. He gave me attention I had never felt before. He told me I was beautiful. He said I had a kind of beauty that was rare, that I deserved more than my surroundings. He spoke about a world where money and status did not matter, where only love was real. I was a girl standing at the edge of womanhood, and I believed every single word. We shared meals in secret. We laughed at private jokes. For a short and fragile window of time, he made me feel like the most important person in the world. I did not see the trap I was walking into. Then came the night that broke me into pieces. The house was silent. Midnight had arrived. My room was dark, lit only by the faint glow of streetlights through the window. I heard footsteps approaching. Slow, quiet, steady. The door creaked open. Richard stepped inside. That night, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I traded my inner peace for a moment I thought was connection, a moment I thought was love. It was neither. During that time together, he took out his phone. "I am recording this just for us," he whispered. His voice was smooth, gentle, reassuring. "It is for the memories. One day, years from now, we will look back at this and smile at how young we were, how in love we were." I believed him. I looked into his eyes and saw a future. I did not know I was looking into a trap. A few days later, the silence came back. But this time, the silence was deafening. Richard was gone. No note, no message, no explanation. He simply disappeared, as if he had never existed. I was left behind in a state I cannot fully describe. My body felt hollow. My mind felt broken. I could not eat. I could not sleep. My heart felt like an empty room with no walls. My soul felt sharp and jagged, like something precious had been smashed on the floor. My parents were confused by his sudden departure, but they did not know the storm raging inside me. They could not see it. I spent my nights crying quietly in the dark, grieving the girl I used to be, the girl I knew I could never get back. Eventually, the weight became too heavy to carry alone. I broke down. I walked to my mother and told her everything, every detail, every secret, every shameful truth. I expected her to pull away. I expected judgment. I expected the words I deserved to hear. "I told you so." But instead, she held me. She held me with a strength that seemed impossible for her small body. "Kelly," she whispered into my hair. Her voice was low and steady and full of love. "You are not defined by this. Yes, you made a mistake, but a mistake is only a chapter. It is not the whole book. You must stand up again. You must begin again." Her grace was the thing that saved me. I wiped away the tears of the past. I gathered every piece of energy I had left, and I built a new life. I found a position at a small technology company. I threw myself into the work with a fierce dedication. I left no room for painful memories. I became skilled at what I did. I found peace in the logic of code, in the order of systems, in problems that had answers. The past slowly became quieter. Not gone, but quieter. One morning, something unexpected happened. A man named Mr. Luke arrived at our small office. He was the CEO of a large international company. His company's main server had crashed. His best engineers could not fix it. I stepped forward. I took a deep breath, and I went to work. Within 30 minutes, the system was running again. Mr. Luke stared at me. His expression was genuine astonishment. "How did you solve what my senior team could not?" he asked. I looked at him steadily. A new sense of self-worth was growing inside me, quiet and strong. "I am simply very good at what I do, sir," I said. Impressed, he invited me to a high-profile gathering that same evening. I hesitated. The old shadows whispered that I should stay home, stay safe, stay hidden. But I went. When I arrived at the party, I felt like a stranger in a world of silk and soft music. I felt eyes on me. I moved toward the quiet edges of the room. Mr. Luke found me. He told me I looked radiant, but I barely heard his words because across the ballroom, a man was watching me. His gaze was quiet and steady, and something about it made my heart slow down instead of speed up. That was unusual. That was new. Later that evening, Mr. Luke returned. He was leading that same man by the arm. "Kelly," he said with a warm smile, "I would like you to meet my son. This is Buck." Buck did not have sad eyes. His gaze was clear, gentle, remarkably steady. For the first time in years, the frantic beating of my heart slowed to a calm and even rhythm. We talked that night, and the next, and the many nights after that. Slowly, carefully, the walls I had built around my heart began to soften, to open. Buck was patient. He was kind. He was safe. When he asked me to marry him, the tears that came were not tears of pain. They were tears of joy. My parents were overjoyed. My mother held my face in her hands and smiled the smile of a woman who had always believed this day would come. For a moment, I truly believed the past was dead, buried, gone forever. But a quiet fear still lived inside me, a small, persistent shadow, whispering that my history would one day rise up, that it would find a way to take away the happiness I had finally found. On our wedding night, Buck took my hands in his. He was a man of great honesty. He wanted our marriage to begin on a foundation of truth. "I want to be honest with you, Kelly," he said softly. "I have not been perfect. I have had relationships in my past that I am not proud of, but I want you to know that you are my only focus now." His honesty moved me deeply. It made me love him even more. But then he asked the question I had been dreading. "Was there someone before me? Someone you were close to?" The air left my lungs. My heart felt like it had stopped. "Please," I whispered. My voice was trembling. "Do not ask me to look back. The past is finished. I only want to build a future with you." He did not push. He simply nodded. He drew me into his arms and held me close. He promised that tomorrow would be a fresh start. But as I lay in the dark that night, the truth felt like a weight on my chest. Heavy, unmoving, waiting. A few weeks into our marriage, we were spending a quiet afternoon in a local park. The Texas sun was warm on our skin. The world felt peaceful, complete. Then I saw him. Standing near a grove of trees was Richard. He looked older, more worn down, but that same smile was on his face, that cold, calculating smile that I had once mistaken for warmth. My stomach turned. I grabbed Buck's arm. "We need to go," I said urgently. "Now, please." I did not look back, but I could feel Richard's eyes on me as we walked away. I knew then that the peace I had found was fragile, that the shadow was still there, waiting. The following morning, I walked into the living room. Buck was sitting on the sofa. He was staring at his phone. His face had lost all color. When he looked up at me, his expression stopped my heart. He turned the screen toward me. The world tilted. Richard had done it. He had posted the video from years ago. He had added cruel words and images meant to humiliate me, to destroy me, to take everything I had built. I felt the floor disappear beneath my feet. My hands began to shake. Hot tears blurred my vision. The shame I had carried for years suddenly overflowed and flooded everything. "Kelly," Buck's voice was low, pained. "What is this? Why didn't you tell me?" I collapsed to the floor. The words came tumbling out in a desperate rush, like water through a broken dam. "I was a child," I sobbed. "I was young and foolish. I believed his lies. He recorded me without my true understanding of what it meant. I did not hide it because I did not trust you, Buck. I hid it because I was so deeply ashamed. I was terrified that if you saw that girl, you would stop loving the woman I am now. But I am not that person anymore. I love you with everything I have." A long silence filled the room. It felt like the longest silence of my life. I waited for the rejection, for the sound of the door closing, for the end of everything I loved. But then I felt his hands on mine. Buck knelt down in front of me. His eyes were wet with his own tears. "I told you on our first night together that I valued honesty," he said softly. "It hurts that you did not feel you could come to me. But Kelly, I also told you that everyone makes mistakes. I did not marry the girl in that video. I married the brilliant, kind, strong woman who was kneeling in front of me right now. I love who you are now, and no shadow from your past can change that." The relief that washed over me in that moment was unlike anything I had ever felt. The secret was out. The monster had done his worst, and yet I was still loved. My heart, which had been fractured for so long, finally began to truly heal. Today, our lives look very different. We moved away from Texas, away from the ghosts that walked those streets. We settled in London, where the rain falls gently and the world feels softer. I share a home with Buck and our beautiful young son, Edward. Our home is not just a building. It is a sanctuary, built on a foundation of radical honesty, of unwavering trust. of two people who chose each other through the truth of who they really were. I look back at my younger self now with different eyes, not with shame, not with regret, with quiet compassion. I learned a difficult lesson. Not every person who speaks of love intends to cherish you. There are people in this world who seek to consume your light for their own purposes, who see your trust as a weakness they can use. But I also learned something else. I learned that there is a different kind of person, a person of genuine honor, a person who sees your scars not as flaws, but as proof of your strength. My mother was right. Some mistakes stay with you. They settle into your bones, just as she said. But she was also right about something else. A mistake does not have to be the end. It can be the beginning of a much deeper, more honest, more beautiful story. When you find a person who respects your journey, who protects your peace, who loves you through the truth of your past, hold on to them. They are the rarest kind of blessing. Thanks for listening to my story. If you liked it, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment, and tell me where you're listening from.